last week I covered email sequence, has how to write an effective. There are multiple categories of emails that you send as a business to your customer. You should be sending as a business to your customer. I talked about it last week. I'm going to quickly recap it one more time today so that everybody's oriented. But then today I'm going to talk about one specific type, which is newsletter. Okay. So last week I used this slide to talk about the three main categories of emails that a business sends to its customers. Transactional emails, which are things like receipts, login info, once a user, if there's a login info, and order on the way, if you have an e-commerce, like shipping information and stuff like that on the e-commerce side. So that's one category, transactional emails. That's kind of normally the term people use. Then there are two other categories. These two other categories are what I refer to as marketing emails. I don't refer to transactional emails as marketing emails. Marketing emails are sent to your customers who opted in and didn't sign up, or people who signed up for your service to continue to keep them engaged and all that. Okay. And maybe even additional services and products that you offer. Essentially keep the conversation dialogue going with existing customers or potential customers. Okay, that's called email marketing in my book. And there are two main categories. Okay, the first category, I call it state-based emails. These are emails that are most of the time automatically sent to customers who are in a particular state, meaning something about that users, and it's different. It's sent to some users or not sent to some other users. For example, abandoned cart series that I talked about last week, and we released an AI tool inside Deal.ai software platform to actually automatically generate it. I gave you guys my simple formula for it. It's definitely is something that I mean, most businesses should have it. This is for users who opted in, so they are in your email database, but they've not taken the next immediate action, like purchasing your product or service, or scheduling a call with a sales team, or what have you. That's state-based email, meaning it is sent to a user who have opted in and not purchased, but another user does not get it. Does it make sense? And we released an app for it that automatically generates it. It follows the formula that I explained last time. How many of you guys have had a chance to play with abandoned cart email? Put in the chat if you have put a 1 if you have played with it, and also tell me if you've used it. Have you implemented it? See a 0. I don't see 0. What I did I say put a 0? I don't know what 0 means. 1 if you've used it, 2 if you've not used it. Okay. Okay. So some of you guys have used it. A lot of you guys haven't used it. I'm gonna just quickly show it to you guys so that you can see that as well, for those of you guys who are new. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are broadcast emails. And broadcast emails are sent to all of your database or a segment of it. You can send it to people who've been active. You can send it to the entire database, or you can send it to a sub-segment, like people who have logged in the past 30 days, as an example, or people who have. You can put rules in there in most email platforms. And one category of it, which I think is one, I mean, there are a lot of important categories here. Like, for example, if you have an event, you want to announce it. If you have product updates, you want to announce it and all that. But another way to stay in touch with your customers are via newsletters. Okay. Newsletters, again, people define it differently. Newsletters are things that whatever industry and category you're in, you want to sort of educate your customers with what's happening in that industry first. Okay. So it's an external news. A study, if you're in like health products, supplements, a study has come out that shows blah, blah, blah. Or if you're in any industry, if you're a real estate broker, um, news related to real estate market in your area. Okay. And you want to first educate. That's kind of the formula. I know a lot of people do it differently. I don't agree with trying to sell hard on these newsletters. What I think you need to do is first find the right news to share with your customers that you think is relevant to what you sell and provide, educate, give value, and then tie it back to how your product fits in it. It's actually a very simple formula. It's a lot of work to get the right newsletter, because if you send too many newsletters that people open and they're like, that's not that good, they stop opening your emails. So it's very important to spend time, especially because it hits a lot of times your entire email database. Is very important to pay attention to this and make sure you're saying something that's relevant. Your customer expects that newsletter coming from you. That's important. So if, for example, you have a dental practice, or if you're a marketing agency that caters to dental practices, if from a dental office you send a newsletter that is about, I don't know, the real estate market, okay, uh, it kind of is not congruent. People don't expect to hear that from you. They're like, why are you emailing me this? And once the first, it's if you do it once or twice and you send like subpar newsletters, it's fine. But if it becomes a habit over time, people learn not to open your emails. Okay. And do you guys know what happens if users stop opening your emails? Like the vicious cycle that you're going to go through? Just put in the chat. Um, what do you think happens if you send irrelevant emails to people from to your database? Why do you think that's bad? Stop looking at you becomes junk. Yes, because ESPs are email server providers. They get kill the list. Exactly. You actually effectively killed the list. So essentially, ESPs, email server providers, they see, okay, this domain is sending large amounts of emails, right? So they give you a score, and every ESP again, email service provider, for example, Gmail, for example, Yahoo, whatever people use for their email, they have a ton of filters, okay, and rules, and they kind of give you a reputation, and a lot of it is black box, so you don't exactly know how they're doing it, and the rules also change over time. But the gist of it is that they want you to send emails that are relevant and interesting to the customer. And how do they measure that? Obviously, they parse the text of the email, okay? But second, I mean, probably the most important factor is the open rate. So if you're sending emails and people over time are trained to not open your email, or if they report your email as spam or junk or delete it or block it, okay, that brings down your reputation, which means the next time you send an email, your email may not even get delivered, or it may go to spam. Like, it's actually possible it just literally Yahoo Gmail might push back your email service provider, your CRM is attempting to send the email, but Yahoo and Gmail is not accepting it, or it's accepting it and spamming it, or putting it in a promotion tab, or a lot of things like that, which means users are no longer seeing your email. Therefore, they're not opening it. Therefore, they're not even getting into the habit of opening your emails. It's a vicious cycle, guys. And there are so many companies that have dead email lists because they haven't done like proper email hygiene. And it's really, I mean, you can get technical here, and there are a lot of technical aspects to sending a sending and maintaining the health of your email list. but it's not. But the gist of it is that apply common sense here and really think about it this way: is my user likely to open this email that I'm sending from this particular product or service from this domain? An email might have a high open rate. So if you send a, let's say you have a brokerage firm in Phoenix, Arizona, where Terry is based, if you're sending relevant emails from that brokerage firm, the customers on that email list, they have the expectation that, okay, this is relevant to me, and it's going to have a high open rate. You might send the same exact copy from another business, okay, but the customers in that email list are not interested in that news, and they don't open it, even though it's the exact same email, the same subject line and body and everything. Other, if you send it from a different business, it may not be opened, or it might be reported as spam and all that, and you may get a low open rate, and therefore you get punished and go into a vicious cycle. And once you go into a vicious cycle and your email list is low quality, okay, it's very hard to work your way back up. There are ways to work your way back up. You can revive an email list by starting to send healthy emails and, relevant emails, measuring your open rate, but it takes a really long time, especially large email lists. It can take months to actually get your reputation back. It is possible, but it's difficult. Does that make sense? So, okay, so is it possible to bring this? By the way, some of you guys are mentioning bounce rates and stuff. You got to make sure, and that's a technical aspect. So if an email address is bouncing or the email address is not valid, which there are third-party services that can help you, and maybe I covered at some point, you want to remove them actively from your email database, but that's more technical. So what I'm going to cover today is actually what to put in the email in a news broadcast context, and it's super simple. It's actually really simple. It's common sense. Okay, the definition of a newsletter, okay, with a sale component in it. Now you might want to just sometimes send newsletters that don't have any sale in it, okay, which is also fine. You can mix it up. But overall, in newsletter, essentially what you do is that you take a piece of relevant and recent news, both. Okay, it needs to be relevant to what the business is doing, and recent. Okay, like you don't want to recycle old news that nobody cares about anymore, and turn it into an informative and compelling email, and then ask yourself 3 questions. One, what's happening in my industry? Like, what is it that people care about right now today? Okay. And what's that news or event or whatever that is relevant to that? 2, how does that news relevant to my end customer? Okay. Let me explain why. Let's say you have, again, using real estate brokerage firm, right? And your end customers are people who want to buy real estate, okay? And that you've built an email list over time. A news that is relevant to you and the industry might be a real estate broker conference, okay? But even though that's relevant to the industry, it's not relevant to the end customer. Why would an end customer care that there's this real estate broker conference going on? They're not participants in it. It doesn't matter to them. So always think to yourself, once you identify news things that are relevant to in your industry, think, okay, so is it really relevant? Does my customer care? It's like common sense, right? Does my customer care about this thing, this event, news study, like, whatever it is that is happening? And third, once you have provided value, you have provided a piece of news that is relevant to the customer, you got to also ask yourself, is it relevant to my product or service? Sometimes the answer is no. Okay. In which case, you can still provide value without providing a call to action. That's also fine. But if you are providing a call to action, really think about, okay, how is that relevant to my product? If it's not relevant, you may want to send it without a CTA, or look for another piece of news that is relevant to my end customer. It's in my industry. It's recent. It's relevant, and then explain how your product or service relate to that particular news event. Regardless of the tool that you use AI or AI tool, someone else's AI tool, you write it manually. These are principles that you have to think about if you're sending emails. How many of you guys, just on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like you're super conscious and intentional about the health of your email list, and 1 being like, I just send stuff and spam people? Well, tell me, on what scale are you? 10, 4, 1, 2, 8, 10, 6, 8, 8, 9. Yeah, I want to see a lot of 9s and 10s, guys. It really. If you want to succeed, so you have to, yeah, 10 is the best. 10 is the best. 1 is, I just spam people like with thoughtless stuff, like, come buy my product. Have you bought my product yet? I get that all the time from things that I sign up. I sign up for a lot of services to see what happens, what kind of email sequences they have. And I have seen crazy stuff. I won't name names, but some of, biggest things, like, what, like, aggressive, repeated messaging to buy the product and service. And I tell you guys what, that is not going to even result in revenue. So the purpose is to get revenue, more revenue from emails, so monetize the mailing list, so to speak. But they actually succeed because of the way they send email. Their email open rate drops. Therefore, they're not even talking to anybody. So think of it this way: what's the point of sending 200,000, a million emails if only 5% of people open it? It's just, you know. And by the way, like, a small amount of email, like, if you have aggressive email strategy, and 5% of emails is still get open, that doesn't mean those 5% people are reading it. It just means that a lot of people, they open every email because they're kind of like a little bit OCD about their mailbox. So they open it and ignore it. Does that make sense? What Tell me, out of curiosity, put in the chat, what's your open rate of your general, if for those of you guys who send broadcast emails, what's the open rate roughly? 45%. That's really high. I'll actually put open rate and size, because it's easy to get to really high open rate with really small emails. So put open rate and 2,000. 2,045% is respectable. Well done. I can't even say. Okay. Either you don't know or you don't want to share. 3546, 2530. These are healthy. 360%. Yeah. So 300 is a small email list. So the way to think about it, guys, the smaller your email list, the more the more likely it is for the ESPs, email service providers, to actually inbox it, and your um your open rate is going to be higher naturally. 35%, 39%. Rebuilding seriously value on leveraging AI. Good. Adrian, please continue doing that. It's going to take time. By the way, guys, it takes time. And it's not just at email list level. It's not about the recipient only. It's also the reputation of your domain. Okay. What is the best CRM to use with all these new emails? Honestly, they're all pretty much, I want to say, the same. All the ones that people mention, they do the same stuff. Most of them have the same capabilities. It comes down to you having badass content and understanding at high level. What is the industry goal? It really depends, and it also depends on the email list size. I mean, 60% is like extremely high. You cannot really have 60% open rate on large databases. I've not seen it. And sub 20%, I want to say it's like you got to step back and rethink. So the range is somewhere there. But, you know, okay. It's best to drip the emails in. So there's drip. So let me explain the difference between broadcast and drip for a second. You need both. Okay. So abandoned cart series that I mentioned is a drip, meaning a user comes in, users are not getting the same thing. Only people that came in today, they get a second one, and abandoned, they get another one today and tomorrow. And then I mentioned after 1 day, 3 days, 5 days. Some people do insane drips, like they do 60, 90, 100 drip emails. I actually don't think it works. The reason for that is, okay, so drip, if you want to set up a drip email, that has a lot of emails, so you know what, instead of broadcasting, I'm going to set up a drip, but a very long drip. Okay. The problem with that is that, well, you have to write the 60, 100 emails or whatever ahead of time. So it is not news based. It's not relevant. Okay. It's a generic thing. So it becomes the same thing that I'm telling you guys to avoid, which is sending, buy my product. Have you bought my product? You know, um, last night I had a dream that you bought my product. Why did I woke up and you didn't buy my product? I'm serious. That's what people do. Okay. And they have like 60 to 100 of those. Okay. I hate those. It's fine if you want to do it. I'm not here to tell you what to do, what not to do. It's just I'm telling you based on years of experience and my preferences. That's a recipe for disaster. So long drip. So you have to have some short drip. That's why my abandoned cart series, if you watched the video from last week, I said you want to have a short abandoned cart series. My recommendation is 4. I think Shopify's recommendation is 3. But it's that neighborhood. You want to have an abandoned cart series that drips. And drips means it is on a schedule, and user that, for example, opts in, they get one that day, one the next day, one 3 days later, one 5 days later. That's kind of like how I like to set it up. Different people have slightly different things. And that's like the way I think about it is like that first part of your drip um, is high return. And again, it's not game changing. It may lift your conversion by 10%, but it's not like gonna triple your conversion. Okay. So but you must have it. It's good practice. Some people get distracted. Again, the things I covered last time. So drip emails are good in those scenarios, a little bit of it. Okay. So I don't know if some of you guys might be in the medical field. There's this term minimum effective dose, which means if, for example, you have an infection, they give you the minimum amount of antibiotics that solves the problem, but they don't want to also bombard you with a ton of antibiotics that kills everything in your body and has other issues. So minimum effective dose. So with drip emails and emails in general, I always go for minimum effective dose because by definition, if you have programmatic long drips, after 2 or 3, 4 emails, you're not going to get conversion. Okay. From the the first 4, let's say, I mean, hypothetically, I know most people are not that ridiculous to put 60 emails in their drip, but let's say you have 60, somehow you're like, instead of sending broadcasts, I'm going to have 60 emails that I drip. The first 4 emails are probably going to be like 60-70% of your conversion. The remaining 56 emails are gonna get some conversion too, but a little bit of it. And in the meantime, you destroyed your email reputation, your domain, like train people not to open your email. You just destroyed your email list. Okay, does that make sense what I'm saying? So that's why with drips, especially abandoned cart series email, like our platform creates 4, you can go be a little bit more aggressive. If you want, go to 5, 6, or go to 2, 3. I think, like I said, Shopify is 3. Somebody Googles, make sure I'm right. I think Shopify says 3. Different people have different recommendations, but 60 is an overkill. Okay. So now, if you have a limited amount of drip, then what's the next thing? How do you continue the dialogue with a customer and potential customer? That continuation is done via broadcasts. Okay. And like I said, there are different types of broadcasts. You want to use a mix. You want to rotate the tonality, the content, why you're reaching out to customers. You don't want to be one gear and just like that thing over and over again. But newsletters are a great way to do it because the news rotates, and what is coming, what happened yesterday, and you're sending an email about it today is not going to be the same thing that you're going to send an email about next week. So you're constantly keeping people up to date, giving them an actual value, and also new feature announcements if you're doing conferences and stuff, events, promotion emails used tastefully, like things, a category of your product on your e-commerce site is like 25% off. You need to, that's another category of broadcast email. Pro tips is another one. Like if you see your customers, like for example, we do the same. Like I see customers using a product in a particular way that is not, I think they can do better. We go fix our product and give people actually pro tips, which is okay. So we observe you guys are doing this. How about we change the UI so that it is more clear that you should do this way, okay? And we did that, for example, for our scroll stopping ads feature. I saw users were putting business description inside the image description. I sent an email about it, told them how to use it, and we also changed the UI to prevent, like not prevent, but be more clear on how to use that feature, right? That is a high value email. If you see like, okay, so let's say you have a uh, you have a pest control company, okay, and you go to your clients and you see, okay, this is an issue that a lot of my clients have, and there's a simple way to fix it. Sending an email to your email list saying, hey, this is what I see and why this infestation happens. This is a simple thing you can do to fix it. That is a high value email. Okay. Does that make sense? That creates a lot of goodwill with your customers. So that's another way. And that's kind of the mix of products that you want to send via broadcast. What's the best frequency to send broadcast email newsletter? Again, the answer is not one size fit all. I want to say 2 a week is a good frequency. Sometimes 1 a week, sometimes 5 times a week. I mean, I want to say 5 to 7 times a week is probably pushing it because remember, you have other types of emails that you want to stack on. There's obviously your abandoned cart series. There's you have product announcements, promotions. You have pro tips, like I mentioned. Maybe you have events, maybe enhancements to your product or a new product or service that you offer. You want to stack those, so you don't want to send a news broadcast like every day. I mean, unless, okay, there's a caveat to that. That's why I said it's not one size fits all. If you have a newsletter product, okay, so there are companies that are all they do is just a newsletter. People went there to receive news. Let's say it's a stock trading newsletter, okay? Then the expectation is that I'm going to receive news all the time. That's different, okay? That makes sense. Then you got to send on a daily basis. But if it is a chiropractor, okay, or it's a software solution, you definitely don't want to do every day. Does that make sense? It's like overdoing it. I've seen people do twice a day, and that also makes sense in certain scenarios. But again, scenario based. You got to think on it. Again, the guiding principle here is: are my customers opening my emails or not, and does it make sense to them? And open rate is a great way to measure how successful you are. So, I mean, guys, this tool is super simple. It's the emails app. It's designed to make your life easier. Now, it may not give you the right answer right away, but Let me explain it. So I'm gonna put mentorbox.com as a test. You can, by the way, you don't have to use a URL. I'm assuming if you have you're at a point where you're sending emails to customers, you have a landing page that describes your product. That's why website is by default, but you can switch and go to text or image or what have you, different ways of entering, telling the AI engine what you have. So again, remember, you want to tell the AI, why are you telling the AI engine what your product or service is? At this point, the answer should be obvious. The answer is because the news event that is relevant to my industry and my product really depends on what product or service I'm selling. So in the background, what our engine does is that it looks at your product or service, either reads your website and interprets it, or you can actually manually type it in here, or you can use an image to describe it, or, like I said, manually. Okay, here. This is a description. You can, by the way, add to it if you want. I'm not going to do that right now. You select news broadcast. By default, it's an abandoned cart sequence, but news broadcast. And I'm going to work on different types of email. So you have kind of a selection of different types of email that we have. We currently have two. But these two are the most important one. Last week, I covered abandoned cart series. This week, I'm going to talk about news broadcast. Your CTA, okay, the system will try to interpret it, but if you know exactly what it is, it's like if you say, okay, so this is what happened, this is how our product and service fits into that, meaning is relevant to that, can help you with that. And the call to action can be purchase, can be sign up, can be schedule a call, can be start free trial, whatever it is. Okay, I'm gonna just keep everything as default. And while that works on it, advanced options, you can increase persuasiveness. Persuasiveness is the strength of the sales language. Some people prefer it to be mild. Some people want it to be aggressive. You have control over it. These are things I've covered. A lot of these controls are universal, so you probably know already. Use emojis. I told you guys by default is off because I don't like emojis. I mean, not that I don't like them. I just don't like to put them in emails and communications with the customer. It feels silly to me, but some of you guys have a lighter tonality, which is fine. Use emojis. You can also change the tonality here to factual if you want a particular to really be pragmatic. That appeals to a particular type of customer. For example, if you're doing marketing for a law firm, you probably want to pick factual. Okay. Fun is like if your brand has you have a tiki bar or something. Okay. Use a fun language. It actually becomes funny. It's actually just try it, guys. AI has an interesting sense of humor. I like it. Um, you can make it urgency based if it is about a thing, a deadline that is coming up, like a new piece of legislation passed that is doing something, and it's like, you want it to be urgency based or fear based also. There's a particular thing, understanding your customer. Okay, so you don't want this to happen to you, therefore do that. Okay. So anyways, I kept everything as default. I'm going to create a second one while we look at it. You got to generate multiple of these. I know it takes about 3 minutes per generation. Obviously, as that one was quick. So we're going to look at it in a second. I'm going to create a few and then look at the results with you guys. Okay. So let's see what it came up with. The first one I didn't quite like. Going to becoming a better person revolves around empathy, continuous learning, self-love, blah, blah, blah. This is personal growth, mental box. Okay, this is an okay email. It's not that amazing, but it's an okay email. Track of learning is tied to memory, emphasizing that mere memorization doesn't lead to lasting knowledge. Instead, learn by understanding and connecting new information to previous knowledge is crucial for long-term retention. This method makes it easy to remember and apply. It's actually a good memory technique. Okay, so you can't just memorize things directly, and most importantly, internalize it. You have to you have to tie it back to a, a thing you've done in the past or you've experienced in the past. And MentorBox actually creates workbooks for you to do that. It's actually interesting. So it's offering a platform that encourages deep understanding of real life. Okay, great. Okay, great. So this is actually a good one. Okay, I would slightly modify this sentence right here. So essentially, it picked a really good news source. I mean, relevant news event. You gotta go. By the way, we provide this to you for you to take a look at to make sure that AI interpretation is correct and you actually agree with this. Again, accuracy of this is on your plate. You got to make sure everything is correct. AI does the best of its ability to the extent that it understands your product from your landing page and also interpreting the news. So you open this one, and then this first opening is really great. In for the second one, I would actually focus on MentorBox at this memorization booklets that actually did exactly what this article is saying as part of the product. So I would make this more specific, okay? And then it becomes an amazing email to send. Does that make sense, guys? Are you guys with me? I'm gonna create one more but this one is a good one. And you got to do it a few times. And every time it picks a relevant news source, comes up with something, say, okay, is it the 3 questions that I asked? Again, bringing it up. What's happening in my industry? So there's this news event about it. It's not just learning, it's also memorization, actually having it sink in. Is you need to do things for that to happen. So it's very relevant. Is it relevant to my end consumer? Yes, it is. Okay, very relevant to end consumer. And how is it relevant to my product or service? Means how does my product and service help with this new study and need that just came about? What does that link to? That link is you can link it from inside the article. Where was it? Here. You can link it from inside the article if you want to link to the news source, or it's for you to go read it to make sure that this is correct. It's for you. It's essentially so what AI did is that it found a source and a news article, which is on this website. Okay. And then it said, okay, according to this news article, da, 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 in order to memorize, you need to link it back to something that has happened to you before. Okay. Or a situational memorization, I think is what it's called. So that piece, you want to one, make sure that this is click on it, read the news article. Okay. So yes, it says that. 2, does my product and service provide it? And then bam. And you can essentially hyperlink this word here and put a news article for people to go and check the news themselves. If you want to link a study, you want to also link. You want to cite a study, you may want to also link to that study. So here's a link for you. Yeah, you can see 1 and 2 here. According to the Herald, according to LifeDev, revolves around empathy. Okay, I mean, it's fine. It's doing the job. It's just like I don't see it as super compelling. So you want to send super compelling. And I know it takes 3 minutes for AI to generate it, sometimes faster, but take the time. To change the length, we gave you that option. By default, it is right here. Some people send long email. I don't like those. But you can drag it to the right or you can drag it to the left to have like really short and sweet. Like, I mean, you can have super short, you can have super long. We put it somewhere in the middle. I think that's a sweet spot. But again, a lot of it is personal preference. Like if you're sending a newsletter for like an accounting firm, right? So it's like they send heavy text, maybe. I mean, even then I wouldn't send too long. People don't read it, man. This is about the right length, in my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me and have your own style. It's fine. That's why we have the controls in our tool. Make it longer, make it super shorter. But if you had, for example, a newsletter and it was 2 sentences and cited a study, I mean, that's not enough room to cite a study, summarize the results, and then plug your product in smoothly. I mean, it's not. Okay. So this is actually about the right size. So it says, and the punchline here is actually good. So this email is like pretty much ready to go as is. So it cites this study. It's not like, oh, I, as the company owner, am telling you that self-paced learning is important. No, third party, here's a link to the news article, says if you want to continuously develop as a professional, which is our target audience under this product, you want self-paced learning, right? I'm just showing you guys case doing the work on the fly so you guys also understand how my brain works when I think of different sources. The way to do this, the reason why this tool should be like one of the tools that you use all the time is that finding news articles that, I mean, how else would you do it? I don't even know. If you wanted to do it without AI, how would you do it? Would you, this essentially what it does is that we have news pipeline coming in, okay, a ton of them constantly. And then you tell AI, this is my business. And then AI goes and does a job of sifting through and picking them. Okay. If you wanted to do that manually, you really need a research team. Really. It's like if you want to send good newsletters, you need to have a research team. Now you have the AI team. I would Google it, but Google does not do this because Googling is yes, recency is one of the factors, but if you Google it, you get a ton of old results. Okay. So really you need to go to Google News and look at news articles that are coming. And then you're talking about the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of articles that are coming in and then try to read them. Okay, is this like is it relevant? Is it relevant? Is it relevant? It's actually manually, I want to say it's close to impossible. That's why you don't see really good newsletters. I mean, there are newsletter companies that send really good newsletters, but they have a whole research team. Okay. So now you can do that with AI, essentially. So, yeah, it's essentially your entire news research team has become one AI engine. You can't even, like I said, you can't even effectively Google it. Like, honestly, there's not a way. I can't think of a way. One of the main hurdles to me in my businesses sending good newsletter has always been you need a good research team. And putting together a good research team, one is costly, two, I mean, it's a lot of work. That's why most businesses don't send really that good newsletters, or they send outdated news or stuff like that. Because how can humans consume a large pipeline of news events that are coming in? And here, you just keep pressing the button, pressing the button, pressing the button. It's like that's all you do. And like do it a few times. It looks through all the news pipeline. We have a bunch of news pipelines coming in from all over the world. Sometimes AI finds something that it thinks is relevant. You don't think it's relevant. It's fine. Press the button one more time. And it seems like the average wait time based on me clicking it, again, it varies a little bit. Seems to be about, it says 3 minutes, but I want to say our average completion rate based on what I'm seeing right now is about probably 90 seconds. Like this one was fast. There was one that I think took 2 minutes. So it's like probably 1 minute, 1 30 minutes. So you can generate like 20 candidates in 40 minutes. Doesn't make sense. And then you just read it, open the news article itself, make sure it's a good news source because our pipeline is huge. It's just like everything, right? So make sure it's a good news source. It doesn't have annoying pop-ups and it doesn't have a paywall, stuff like that. Like I experienced one with one of the links. And then it actually says what AI thinks it says. Then your product actually satisfies it. And the language is good and bam, you send. Doesn't make sense. I generate 10. So you can go through these and pick one.